See? Now, I want to now share some stuff with you. I mean, if you have more questions, but I just want you to see the contrast between Jesus and Muhammad. Imagine Jesus saying, listen, I don't know what my father will do to me or to you. And if I don't toe the line, my father will grab me by the right hand and cut off my aorta if I don't act right. Wouldn't that be troubling to hear Jesus say that?
Yeah, I guess so.
But that's what Muhammad said. So why do you follow him? Chapter 46, verses 8 to 9. Your Muhammad says he doesn't know what Allah will do with you or him. And then Allah threatens him that if he doesn't act in line, he'll grab him by the right hand and cut off his aorta, and no one can save Muhammad from Allah. And you want me to follow him over against Jesus? Chapter 46, verses 8 to 9.
Yeah, my view was always, becoming Muslim. It wouldn't be like I'm abandoning Jesus. I'm still following him, but also be.
You are not following the Jesus of the Bible. You're following an Isa that's a counterfeit, which Paul warned you about, that there are many Jesus out there. Now look what Muhammad's God tells Muhammad to say, 46 verses 8 to 9.
Or do they say, he has forged it? Say, if I have forged it, you have no power to help me against God. He knows very well what you are pressing upon. He suffices as a witness between me and you. He is the all-forgiving, the all-compassionate.
Now watch verse 9.
Say, I am not an innovation among the messengers, and I know not what shall be done with me or with you. I only follow what is revealed to me. I am only a clear warner.
So your prophet that you want me to follow says, I don't know what will be done with you or with me. I'm only a warner. And if Allah were to move against me, who could help me from Allah? And you want me to follow this man who says that all will go to hell and only the God-fearing will come out, as opposed to Jesus who says, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And he who believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? John 11, 25, 26. Or where Jesus says in John 14, verse 6, Jesus answered him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. Or Jesus says in John 14, 18 and 19, because I live, you will live, and I will not leave you comfortless. Look at the encouraging words of Jesus and the assurance he gives me. You want me to give up that Jesus for this Muhammad who's told to say, I don't know what Allah is going to do with you or me, right? I'm just a warner, and no one can help me against Allah if Allah decides to move against me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then what about this warning that Allah says he would cut off Muhammad's aorta if he didn't act in line and forge things in his name? Show him chapter 69, verses 44 to 47.
And if he had invented false sayings concerning us, we assuredly had taken him by the right hand and then severed his life artery. And not one of you could have held us off from him.
He saw that, right? You saw that, Trenton?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you imagine the Father saying to Jesus or about Jesus, look, guys, had Jesus invented a saying and attributed it to me, I'd grab him by the right hand, cut off his life aorta, and none of you could save him from me. That would trouble the hell out of me. But that's not said about Jesus. That's said about Muhammad. So you want me to follow this man whose God threatens to kill and humiliate and embarrass and punish over against Jesus, whom the Father said, this is my son whom I love, with whom I'm well pleased, Mark 1:11, or in Mark 9:7, where the Father comes down in a cloud in front of Peter, James, and John. They see the cloud, they hear the voice, and he says to them, this is my son whom I love, listen to him. Give up on that beautiful Jesus, whose words assure us that if we're in him, we have nothing to fear. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I'm the resurrection and the life. You believe me and you won't die. And follow this man. Let me show you how wicked your prophet is, because you say he didn't make any mistakes. Go to 33:37 of the Quran.
And remember, O Prophet, when you said to the one for whom God has done a favor, and you too have done a favor, keep your wife and fear God, while concealing within yourself what God was going to reveal. And so you were considering the people, whereas God was more worthy of your consideration. So when Zayd totally lost interest in keeping his wife, we gave her to you in marriage, so that there would be no blame on the believers for marrying the ex-wives of their adopted sons after their divorce. And God's command is totally binding.
Now, please convince us you're okay with your prophet marrying his adopted son's wife, who for a season was his daughter-in-law. Let me give you exactly what I mean. You're my adopted son. You got married. You divorce her, and then I marry her and she becomes your stepmother. So you're okay now with your ex-wife being your stepmother, a woman that you saw naked and slept with, who's now sleeping with your dad, who's now your mother. You're okay with that?
Can I say something?
Yes.
I want to say that like in the time of like the 7th century, in the time of the Prophet, and at like in Arabia itself, like they had different like traditions and cultures. Like you can't like impose like
you know you're going to embarrass yourself with that argument, right,
do
James?
I wouldn't do what you just described right there. But
James, you're going to embarrass yourself by saying that, because your prophet is supposed to be an example for all generations, not just the 7th century. And didn't your prophet destroy certain customs that people observed because they were bad?
Yes, he did.
Oh, but he kept this custom that was evil. How convenient. So let me ask you the question again. Would you be okay with your adoptive father taking your divorced wife and marrying her, a woman that you had naked in bed and was having sex with, who's now your mother, and you have to honor as your mother?
No, that's not okay.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't do anything like that. But
okay, but no, hold on. Did your prophet then abolish adoption after he married his daughter-in-law?
I believe adoption is abolished.
Oh, and you have no problem. So now help us understand your logic. Your prophet married his adopted son's wife to be an example for other people, so they can marry their adopted son's wives when they're divorced. But then shortly after that, he then abolished adoption. Didn't Allah know he was going to abolish adoption?
I'm sorry, but did he abolish adoption? Or
Yeah,
did
he did.
abolish?
Allah abolished it according to you. So your God, who's not the God revealed in Jesus, because the God revealed in Jesus doesn't abolish adoption, he adopts children. But your God that you decided to follow abolished adoption. And you're okay with that? So this humane practice of adoption, Allah got rid of, but marrying your adopted son's divorced wife, he was okay with it. So something immoral he was okay with, but something humane he abolished. Yeah, you make sense, James. I'm ready to take Shahada.
Yeah, so adoption is abolished, but that doesn't mean that Muslims can't take in like stray children into their families.
You can't, when they're old enough, you can't have them in your house because of your women folk cannot freely mix with those who are not forbidden for them. Don't let me bring up breastfeeding as an example, where Muhammad had a woman suckle a grown man with her tit because he had abolished adoption, and her husband is now uncomfortable with him in the house because there was nothing forbidding him from lusting for his wife. So Muhammad said, let him suck your tit and now he'll be your foster son. You don't want to open that can of worms, do you? So let me ask the question again, because you went far afield. Didn't your God Allah know that he was going to abolish adoption right after Muhammad was going to marry Zayd's wife?
I don't understand. He did abolish adoption.
No, you're not. No, he didn't abolish it when your prophet married her. 33:37 just told you the reason why he married her was to be an example for other people to marry their adopted sons' wives. Did you just read 33:37? Read it. It's right there.
Okay, so we gave her to you in marriage so that there would be no blame on the believers for marrying the ex-wives of the
what?
Adopted sons.
Okay, so at that time when your prophet did it, adoption was still allowed, right?
Yes.
So, but didn't your God Allah know that he was then going to abolish adoption?
Yes. God
so why did he allow Muhammad marry his adopted son's wife when he knew he was going to abolish adoption? So that this example, Muhammad, is meaningless because it can't be an example for anyone anymore. There's no more adoption.
Yeah. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like throughout the Quran, like there are many revelations that it's not to say like they're not relevant anymore, but they get like superseded by like better revelations from God.
You mean it's better to abolish adoption, a humane practice, but it was not as good to then lust for your adopted son's wife, who then ended up divorcing her so you can marry her? So now it's better to abolish adoption? That's better to get rid of adoption. That's better. I want you to say it again. Getting rid of adoption, robbing children of having a father or a mother that they can look to, because Allah abolished adoption. That's better? Please say it's better. Yes, my God did what was better. He abolished adoption, leaving hundreds of thousands of orphans without the opportunity to be adopted and call anyone mommy and daddy, or barren parents, women who can't have children, robbing them of the opportunity of adopting a child and calling that child son or daughter, because that's better. Much better what your God did. Can you say that, please? I want to hear it. I want it recorded.